And the real Alex. Okay, hi. So today we're going to be thinking a little bit around the story of Noah and the Ark. Wait a minute. Wait. That's a kid's story. Is it? Is it a kid's story? Well, until you said that, I thought it was. It's not. You said it's not. Oh, great, great. So how isn't it a kid's story? You say Noah. I think Noah. Okay, because when it was written down and what was going on and who it was written to, those things are really important. Oh, well, of course I know that. Of course I know. I could tell you all about that. Yeah. Shall I tell us all about that? I don't want to show off. You go for it. Great. So, to understand this story, we need to go back to just about 600 years before Jesus is born, to a time the Jews call the Exile.
Oh, like the X Factor.
Oh, sure. If the X Factor was a program about one nation invading another, taking all their best and richest and brightest people, relocating them against their will in their own country, and then stripping them of their names and language, and forcing them into another religious framework. Okay? In that case, it's not really like the X Factor at all. Anyway, before the exile, there were like 7 main things that the Jewish people really felt Jewish about. It's called your cultural identity. And the things that make you feel that you're part of a people group. Okay, you mean like for me, I'm from the Isle of Man, so we've got like Tynwald Hill where our government has sat for like well over 1,000 years. And we've always been independent. And we've got the Manx language, and we have chips and cheese and gravy, stuff like that. Exactly like that. So for the Jews, these are the big 7. Okay, you ready? 1, the Promised Land. God had given them Israel as a sign that he was with them. 2, the temple. God had given them this space as a way to be clean with him on the inside and to focus their worship. 3, language. Hebrew was their language. Language links you to each other and links you to your history, your heritage, your land. It's amazing. 4, they saw themselves as a pure race. They were only supposed to marry another Jew. Number 5, the Sabbath. The Sabbath is hugely important as one of the 10 commandments. Taking the same day with a whole nation literally stops and walks with God together all day. And they remember their heritage and their stories as part of what it means to be Jewish. Number 6, the sacred stories and their law. The sacred stories, like a mix of story, history, law, and all of it made up of how they lived their lives. And number 7 is circumcision. This is a physical sign for every male, and it's a constant reminder for all of them that God has made a covenant promise. Wait, hold your horses. What's a covenant? What do you think it is? Well, I feel like it's a coven of ants. Like a whole load of witch and warlock ants in a gang. Doesn't sound very authentically Jewish-y, not going to lie. Thankfully, it's nothing to do with that. A covenant is a legally binding promise. So for a Jewish man, being circumcised meant there was a physical reminder all the time that he's one of God's people. And circumcision is... What do you think it is? Well, it sounds like 2 words, like circum means like all the way around something, like when you circumnavigate the globe, so all the way around circum, and then scission, like incision, like to cut all the way around something. That's right. But around what? Let's talk about that another time. 600 years before Jesus arrives on the scene, a huge, powerful nation called the Chaldeans from Babylon send a massive army to Israel. They totally defeat them. They destroy the temple. They find all the brightest and best, around 10,000 Jews, we think, and they cart them off back to Babylon where they come from. So this includes professional people like teachers, lawyers, doctors, and their rich people and their priests. So what you leave behind is a country of people who've got no teachers, no lawyers, no doctors, no money, and no way to continue their worship. Okay, that doesn't sound good. It gets worse. Oh my goodness. Did they also get rid of their broadband connections? There was no internet. Those poor people. How could things get any worse? Well, it does get worse because the ones who resettle in Babylon are forced to learn a new language. They even have to change their names from Jewish names, and they have to worship new gods. And some of them are forced to marry people from Babylon, and they have to work on the Sabbath. Okay, that's bad. Show me the list of the big 7. Here. Okay, so Promised Land, trashed. Temple, destroyed. Language, challenged. Racial purity, eroded. Sabbath, trampled all over. Sacred stories and laws, and circumcision. Wait, what about the last 2? So, the last 2, yes, they can keep going, can't they? And man alive, do they work at doing that? In this exile, and eventually when they return to Israel and resettle years later, they even make sure that the stories they have, which have been passed down orally by passing on stories or on fragments of parchment here or documents there, they rewrite them and they combine them all together and put them into one place. And that's where Noah's Ark comes in. That's where Noah's Ark comes in. Yes. Written to a bunch of people who are looking for God's promise and protection. They're looking for a sense of who they are. They're looking for a sense of how God might be fighting on their behalf. They're thinking like, where are we? When's this all going to end? They feel like they're all at sea with no sense of how it's all going to finish. Everything they know about has been destroyed. Would there ever be a fresh start? Oh, let's get into the story then. Yes. Finally. Finally. So, our story starts with humans multiplying and filling the earth, most of them wanting nothing at all to do with God at all. I mean, they're violent, evil, and terrible. I bet that's how the Jews felt about the Babylonians, you think? So God looks down on everything, decides it's all gone too far, he's sorry he's even made most of it, it's time for a reboot. He's going to literally bring an end to everything in civilization. But there is one family group, one people group, who are living right, Noah and his family. Then doesn't God tell Noah to build like a massive boat? That's right. Do you know how big it is? I think I do. Is it something like 1.5 football fields long? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, 1.5 football fields long, and then like from the goal to the sidelines wide, and then 3 stories high. Remember, they've got to get giraffes and stuff in there, and all their food. Then Noah goes and gets 2 of each animal. No. And what? Then God gets 2 of each animal. 7 for the ones they'll be using as sacrifices, and God brings them all to the ark. They all get in, and God shuts the door. He makes sure it's all safe. God provides everything they need. He does all the work. They literally just make the ark and wait for it to happen. And then it rains like a lot. Yes. Yeah. Do you know where the rain comes from? Well, I thought I did. I want to say the sky, but because you asked the question, is it also like Manx rain that comes in from the side? Yeah, probably. But also, God opens up all the water that's kept underneath the earth, literally coming from on top of them and underneath them. Like, it lasts 40 days and 40 nights. That is a long time. Yeah. Then there's another 150 days at sea with no land in sight anywhere. Storms raging all around them, still raining, and they're floating all over the surface of the chaos that used to be the earth. That is disgustingly smelly. Like 190 days. No showers for 190 days. That's almost a year. Yeah, half a year. Oh, man. So Noah and his family, on that ark, they're brought into a place where they're bobbing about uncontrollably, not on the land that they called their own. They're locked in with a whole load of animals, but it's for their own good. I wonder if that's how the Jews felt in Babylon. Yeah, I reckon it's exactly how they felt. I mean, like they too were drifting about, not on their own land. Everything they knew had been destroyed. Their friends, their family, all gone, possibly killed. And where's God in all of this? You know, like it would have seemed to be lasting forever. But it doesn't last forever. Ha! It doesn't, no. This story is actually a story about the goodness of God. It's a very, very interesting story. You know, here's an interesting fact. The word ark actually doesn't mean boat. It means box or container. And the other ark that they would have known about is the ark is used to carry the presence of God and the 10 Commandments. Yes. So when Noah's in the ark with his family, Yeah. Maybe the Jews are supposed to hear that they're carrying God's presence with them and God's law with them in the storm, and not even knowing where they are. Sounds like something the Jews in Babylon needed to hear. Yeah. Sounds like something I need to hear. Me too. So, this is how the story ends. Oh wait, the ark ends up on Mount Ararat. I know that because it sounds like a small dog barking. Ararat, Ararat,
Great.
Ararat, Ararat. Noah sends out a dove and it comes back. He sends it out a second time, comes back with an olive branch, sends it out a third time, and it doesn't come back at all.
That's right.
And they're all safe.
Right.
So then they get out of the container box ark and they worship God, and God makes a covenant promise with them.
There's that word.
Never to destroy the earth again in a flood. Yeah, a covenant. A covenant. Like circumcision.
Yes.
It's super important. This covenant, the rainbow, is also a sign, but it's a sign wherever they are, all the time. Not a sign on their body, but a sign linked to nature. Do you think it's ironic, right, that the sign that God gives that He's not going to destroy us with water only happens with rain? No, I think it's on purpose. When you see this happen, don't worry, I'll keep you safe. Do you think it rained ever in Babylon? Yeah, of course it did. Exactly. So the Jews in Babylon might have seen a rainbow as like a secret sign. Like God's saying, you're trapped with the Babylonians at the moment in this box, all at sea, surrounded by animals, but I'm not going to destroy you. Yes, exactly. In fact, I've put you there so you're safe. What they didn't know in Babylon is that while they were there was actually a massive drought in Israel. God used that time to formalize their sacred writings, to protect them from the famine, and to bond them together as a people. Even though they felt trapped and they felt like they were amongst a whole load of animals and at sea, it was actually part of them being saved. Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, one final thing. Do we have to? I'm getting a bit tired. It's a good one. Go on then. Okay, get this. There's a key line in the story that says this. So, they're all in the middle of the flood and everything. And the story says, God remembered Noah. Rude. Had God forgotten about them? No. No matter what they're going through, God remembers us. Like we are actually on God's mind. Wow, okay. Yeah, okay, that was worth waiting for. Yeah. That's a different way of understanding the story of Noah. Thank you. And thank you.
Thank you.